Welcome to On Broadway Photography. Today we're going to be talking to you about a new, exciting trend in portrait photography. High-key, high-contrast, black and white fashion glamour photography. 7 years ago, Trish and I decided we wanted to specialize in fashion glamour for women. And we set out and did a number of tests to find out what best would make them look their most dynamic. And after doing several tests in the black and white, we found out that every woman could look fantastic. Every woman could look like a model. And we could do this through the use of high-key, high-contrast, black and white photography. Because in the medium itself, it brought out their best natural features, their eyes, their lips, their cheekbones, the real heart of the photograph. And it had a mystery, a vogue to the photograph in the medium of black and white itself. To do this, though, it all starts off with makeup. Because black and white is just mainly contrast. And it starts off creating that contrast on your client's face. So let's go back and see what Trish is doing right now and see where it all starts.
Hi, welcome to our makeup area. This is where all the fun and excitement happens, it's like the kitchen. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to take you through basic makeup steps, and this is for black and white photography. So it's very different. And what we want to really accentuate on today is, of course, the fine things, more of the best features is eyes, lips, cheekbones, and we want to diminish things like circles under the eyes, blemishes, wrinkles, skin pores, all those things you don't want to see at all in a photograph. And that's the fun of black and white. And I have our model here today. This is Tracy. Before we get started now, let's go over the makeup kit and just see what's all included here. On the right-hand side is our blush colors. We have 8 different blushes, from the warm tones to the cool tones, even a soft pink that'll fit just about everyone. In the center, we have 4 contouring colored and highlighting colors. Right below that are 2 pressed powders, darker color and a lighter color. Over on the far left-hand side are our eye colors. We have many different colors to choose from, contouring colors to the highlighting colors in warm tones and cool tones. In the kit are also a selection of pencils. There's 4 eyelining pencils. There's also 4 lip lining pencils. The lip lining pencils also match the 4 lipsticks that are included. The makeup kit also includes a complete set of brushes. Starting from the far left is a fluffy brush, and this is used for the loose eye powders, also for the larger part of your eye. The fluffy large brush is used for all the powders. The smaller fluffy brush is used for your cheek blushes. The toothbrush comb is used for eyelashes, eyebrows, and for men's mustaches. The smaller angular brush is used for your contouring of your eyes. The smaller straight brush is used for your lipsticks. The larger angular brush is made especially for the eyelining of your eyes, the contouring areas of your eyes. The smaller brush is used for wet eyelining. The most important step in applying makeup is the foundation. This is how we create the beautiful porcelain skin. The 4 basic colors, starting with the lightest to the darkest, include the cream beige, fawn, honey beige, and the darkest is dark mocha. All of these can be mixed together to match any skin tone. The most important item included here is a TV touch. This is used for under the eye area, for around the nose, for on any wrinkles that we want to diminish, for on any blemishes we want to hide. This is the first thing we're going to put on her face. The next item here is the lip gloss. This goes on after her lipstick and is used for a little bit of shine on her lips. The next colors are 4 basic loose eye colors. These contain a high metallic shine to them and are used for the eye area. These colors cannot be obtained through any pressed powders. Let's start by taking off those glasses. All right, what we're going to do first, we're going to check her skin. We're going to make sure she doesn't have any makeup on. If she has makeup on, we're probably going to take it off. Especially if she has a lot around her eyes, we're going to want to take that off. Also, we're going to clip up her hair. We're going to be real careful as not to hurt her hairstyle too much. Just maybe a little lift right in there. That'll do it. Now, we're also going to check her skin for any type of oiliness at all. Well, too much oil on the skin isn't good at all. It's better to be drier. We don't use any moisturizer at all on her face before we start. We want a real nice matte finish on it. I like to take the sponge over her face right away and just go around her nose, underneath her eyes, down her cheeks, around her chin. And this just kind of collects any excess moisture or oils that are on her skin. Next, we're going to take a look at her skin. She has really nice skin. We're also going to analyze her face a little bit and just see what we're going to do. Everybody has different shaped eyes, and I'll have to tell you the eyes are the most important of the whole photograph. That's where you get all the expression. Now open your eyes. She's got beautiful eyes, and what we're going to do is we're going to also look at her cheekbones and just figure out exactly, in our minds, figure out how much makeup we're going to put on her face, mostly for her eyes. Some people have very small eyes and you don't want to overdo this. Some people have very large eyes and you can use a lot more makeup on them. Also, the type of hair that they have and the type of skin that they have is very important also. If she was very fair and very, very blonde, we would go more into the gray tones and keep it much more lighter on her lips and on her general makeup. If she was very dark and very, very brunette, dark brown eyes, we can go much heavier on her eyes, and it won't look as heavy as it would on a blonde. Okay, now let's start with our key ingredient, which is our under eye concealer. It's white and it's creamy. It's very opaque. You only need a little bit. Now, have her look up, and I always have them look up with their eyes so that an object coming right into their eyes, they're going to flutter quite a bit. It's going to be very distracting. So have them look up. And over my makeup counter, I have a great picture. They can study it. Now look up. It gives them something to look at while they're looking up. We're going to put the white right underneath her eyes, coming as close up to her eyelashes as we can, blending it lightly as we go along. And these sponges are great for that. We're going to come right up her nose, around her nose. This always has a little bit of discolorization around here. Enlarged pores, laugh lines, and this will soften this. And around the mouth too. And then anywhere on their face that they might have a blemish, you're going to want to go over that. Tracy has really nice skin, so we're not going to worry about any major breakouts here. Now we're going to blend her nose in. Now I have to tell you an important thing about the nose. In our photographs, the noses stay very white, and we find that a nose just doesn't have much expression to it. Most people want to get rid of their noses. If we would contour their nose, it would make their nose show up much more. Now I'm turning the sponge over and just using the back side just to blend in. We want a real fine graduation of color. Don't want to make her whole face white. Now this will be our key highlight areas. Always keeping this area very light is the triangle area right here. Right under her eyes and right down to here. This always stays very white. This gives them a very nice cheekbones. It takes away from the dark circles underneath their eyes. Gives them very nice illuminating cheekbones. Okay, now we're going to put that away and we're going to start with the foundation. For Tracy, we're going to go with the lighter color. In the black and white, what we want to do is we want to stay with their skin tone or one shade lighter. Now I'm starting with the color that's the very lightest, and it's A14. I'm going to put some out in the palm of my hand. I use my hand as a palette quite a bit. Now Tracy's pretty fair, you can see that. Now I'm going to have her look up just a little bit. What you want to do is start with the little area on her face. Test the color. See how it looks before you put it all over her face, because it could be the wrong color, and then you'll have a big mess. Sometimes people's face will change the color of the foundation rapidly. The color looks fine in your hand. It looks like it would match. When you put it on their face, all of a sudden it starts turning orange. That's why it's good to test a little area. And as we can see, that'll be a really nice color. It's just a slight shade darker than the TV Touch, and that'll be good. So we'll take the foundation, dab areas like on her nose, her cheeks, her chin. We'll get a little bit more. Start with her forehead. Blend very lightly. It's a real light touch. Coming down on her cheeks, very lightly again. Turn that way just a little bit. You're not going to go underneath her eyes very much at all. You're going to leave that pretty white. What you want is a nice graduation of color from the white going down in her to her cheeks here. When we get into the contouring, it's going to be the darkest down in here and the very lightest then up in here. It's going to create some roundness, because that's what we do with the black and white makeup. We do create the highlighting and the contouring. Our lights don't do the shadowing. The makeup does. So we're going to blend in around on her chin, come across to her other cheek, around her mouth, smooth out that nose, around right underneath her eyes real lightly, around her nose again here, and just checking places. Make sure you have a good coverage. Make sure you don't have any places that the makeup's all globbed up. Try and make it look as smooth as you can without over rubbing it. This is about as much as I'm going to touch her face now. She's done. The more you rub it, the more you work with it, the makeup's going to come off, and that's not going to be good. So keep a real light touch. Okay, now we're going to start with the powder. What we're going to use is good old Johnson's & Johnson's. And the reason we use this powder is because it's white and it's very lightweight. We are going to use quite a bit of powder on her face, so that does feel really nice. Now, if her skin happens to be a little bit darker, we can use a translucent powder here. It's a little darker. We can also intermix these two. I think Tracy's skin's light enough that we can use Johnson's all the way through. Now what we're going to do, you can either pour this in your hand and work from your hand, or you can pour it onto the Kleenex, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to pour some on the Kleenex. Before you powder, you want to take one more look at her face, and this is a very critical part. You want to make sure she has good skin coverage, nothing showing through, because once you powder, you can't go back over with the foundation. So what we're going to do, we're just going to check and make sure she has enough white on her eyes. Now open your eyes, Tracy. Well, she looks pretty good. So let's go ahead. We're going to use one of our sponge wedges, a clean side, of course, and we're going to dip it into the powder. You can get powder on one side. Now look up with your eyes. I always start underneath the eyes first. This is very important, because if they're just going to close their eyes and you're going to powder their skin, people have a tendency of wrinkling up their face quite a bit, and it's going to create and bring out crepiness and wrinkles underneath their eyes here. So first I like to powder right underneath their eyes. So I have them look up first, and we just put the powder and just pat it on right underneath their eyes. I'm going to go over to the other eye. You want to be sure this is covered really good. And there's no moisture left. Now look up again. Now we can have her close her eyes. And we're going to take our powder brush and we're going to dip it into the powder. Now close your eyes. This is a little dust storm for a few moments here while we get the powder rolling down, starting from her forehead and bringing it right down on her face, covering her eyelids, cheekbones, sides of her cheeks. If they have quite a bit of moisture in their cheeks, you can take the powder back through there and just pat it right on their cheeks to be sure you're getting lots of powder on there. What you're going to do is feel with your finger, the back of your finger, and make sure it feels very smooth and satiny. You don't want it moist at all. If it's moist, you go right back over it again with the powder and keep powdering it until it feels really dry. She'll have the softest cheeks in town. Now close your eyes, keep them closed. She feels really nice and silky now. So we're ready to begin on her eyes. What we're going to start with first is contouring her eyes. We're going to use the contour brush. This is the brush that's very flat, it's very angulated, and this is the one that we're going to use for contouring in her eye area, right in here. Now, as I looked over to her eye, I saw just a little bit of shine here. You never want her eyes moist at all. You want everything very soft. That way the powder goes on very smooth. Otherwise, the color will stick in, and it'll soak into her skin, and the dust will blow away. And there you have it, this deep, dark color that you can't get rid of. That's if the face is too moist. So you want to be sure she's very powdery on her eyelids also. Now we're going to start with the darker color. And this can be a dark gray, a dark brown, never really black. Black is a little harsh to start with, especially on her skin. She's quite fair. You're going to follow in her contouring lines right along her eyelids, and you can see where her eyes go in. An easier way to do this is to have them open their eyes and look straight into the mirror. Open your eyes, Tracy, and look straight in. This way, you can catch any of that skin that's hanging down on their eyelids. You want to be sure this is all darkened, and this will open their eyes up quite a bit. So you're going to follow that line and darken any skin, feathering it up on the ends, over to this side, so that when you look at her, all this will be darkened right in there. And a really soft line. Never go with one harsh black line. Always feather it and blend it in. That's the key all the way through the makeup. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to highlight her eyes. We're going to take our fluff brush and we're going to go in with some white. This is in with the eye colors. Now close your eyes. We're going to go right on her lid. Make sure that's really, really white, and right above her brow area. And some more over here on the other eye. And make sure she has plenty on there. Now, right underneath her eyebrow, you want to highlight this. Now, what we're trying to achieve here is the highlighting and contouring. And what we're creating is a three-dimensional look. We're going with the dark in the eyebrow, the light on the eyebrow, on the brow bone, the dark in the crease, the light on the lid, dark with the eyelashes, light underneath her cheeks, and we're going to go on down here, darker, light, dark, light, all the way down. Now, open your eyes. Just stop and take a look at her and see how it's working out. See where you're going to have to add in some more color. See how her eyes are shaping out. You know, not everybody's eyes are just the same, too. Some people have a smaller eye and a larger eye. You'll have to compensate for this. If her eye was larger, or if this skin hung down more here, we would want to be sure and darken that all down. You can always go over here to say if this eye was a smaller eye and come in with a little more of the white on her lid. Just keep working it out so it starts balancing out. That's the fun of black and white. You can create
a new look for her and take away from the little flaw things like that you don't really want to see. Now, what we're going to do next, we're going to work with her eyebrows here. So we're going to fluff them up, get the powder out. We're going to kind of look at the overall shape, kind of back comb them, and always feather these hairs up right in here. And these go down real straight on the back, on the downside here. Now I always add in just a little bit of color on her eyebrows because this helps to contour in around her face, helps to frame in her eyes. We don't really want to make them black either because that will really show up on the photograph. So just a little bit of light brown works good, and I'm using the contour color in the middle of the palette. And I'm going to go right all of her brow line and just bring it right in on the ends because that's where everybody's hair is quite lighter, or they don't have any hairs in here at all. And this really frames in her eye, this area right here. So a little more color. There, now that looks really nice. Now, let's go ahead and start in with some eyelining, okay? We're going to work with the black pencil. Now, close your eyes. We're going to follow with small, little, fine lines. Never one big, long line. Just little fine lines, real soft. You want to try and keep your touch really soft so that she hardly feels like you're even working on her eyes at all. People's eyes are very sensitive. You want to keep a really light touch. Also, the important thing of makeup is keeping it really clean. The eye pencil should always be sharpened before using on anyone else. The eye area is the one area where you can get most of your infections, so you've got to be very careful with this. Keeping everything really clean and keeping your makeup area really clean too, so that when your next client sits down, it looks like she's the first one for the day. Now, let's check this out. Open your eyes up, Tracy. Now, that looks pretty good. Now, you can see the line is not really straight. You're never going to have one really nice straight line, and that's fine because the pencil is soft. It's a little gummy, and you want it to be that way. Now, close your eyes because you're going to just lightly soften that. You don't want one big, long black line here. Just kind of a soft black shadow. So we're softening the pencil down a little bit, and this helps to blend the line together. Now, open your eyes again. There, that looks good. Now, what we're going to do, now, Tracy, look over that way. Just kind of off to the corner there. We're going to catch this line right inside her eye. Now, look the other way, and look up just a little bit. Okay. Now, before we continue on to the bottom part of her eye, we're going to take a little bit of darker powder. A little more of that smoky gray works great. And close your eyes. And we're going to go right over that pencil line. This helps to seal in that pencil so it's not going to run, get moist, or run down on her eyes. This will seal it right in, just like when you put the powder over a foundation. It seals it in. It also adds a little more intenseness to the eyes. Now, what happens quite a bit is you have a little fallout with your brush. You can either hold a sponge underneath there or a little piece of Kleenex, or if you've powdered really good, you can just take the brush and just brush it away. And that's the way I like to do it. You always want to make sure you have plenty of powder on here and it's not moist at all, because if those little black flecks sit down and fall down in a moist skin, they're going to sit there and they're going to stay there, and you're going to have a big problem. A little more powder in here. Now open up your eyes again, Tracy. Now her eyes are shaping up quite nicely. She's beginning to have quite an exotic look to her eyes. And what we're doing is just slightly feathering this, her eyes. Right there. You never want to have real sharp black lines going off, big cat eyes. You just want it just a little black around in the corners and then just softly lightened, softly contoured in that area. Now let's begin on the bottom. We want to have her look up, going right underneath her eye, following, making nice little soft lines right underneath their eyelashes with the black pencil. There, right underneath their lashes. Now, again, now look up with your eyes. Again, you will take your sponge and softly blend it, take away any mistakes that you've made there, any extra smudge lines. Making sure it's a very soft look. That looks great. Now we're going to go back with our contouring brush. We're going to go with the soft gray again. I'm going to look up with your eyes, Tracy. Following right underneath her eyes here. And this is a great brush. It's very important. It's got a really nice fine line to it. Going right over that eyeliner that you just put on there. You're going to keep putting it on until you don't see any moisture there. Any moisture from the pencil. Now that looks great. Now you're going to have her look, you're going to look right at her straight on so that you can balance out the eyes in case you have a little more in one eye and not enough on the other. And that looks good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go back over her eyes because I see this needs a little more right in here. It's a little more gray. Looking straight ahead. A little more right in this corner of her eye. Boy, what a big difference. That contouring is wonderful. This just makes those eyes jump right out at you. Now close your eyes. We want to make them look as symmetrical as we can. So we're going to take our fluff brush and use just a little more white right here. Okay, now next I'm going to move on to the mascara. Open your eyes, and I always have the client look right down and chin up just a little bit. So she's not looking right at the brush. That's very hard to come at somebody with a wand right at their butt. They're going to blink, and you don't want them to blink. You want them to look down. You're going to hit the top of the lashes first. Now look up a little bit, maybe more right there. I find that they never blink this way when you have them look down just a little bit. What you're doing now is we're just putting on their first layer of mascara. We'll probably put on 2 or 3. This one we're going to put on and let dry. Real good before we even put any on the bottom lashes. Okay, we'll let that dry. As that's drying, let's move down the cheeks a little bit here. And we're going to start with our contouring. Again, run your fingers over her face, make sure it feels very soft and smooth before you ever hit any powder or any color on her skin. We're going to use a little bit of the brown that's in the center of the makeup kit. And we're just going to have you lean over a little bit like this. And we're going to start with the contouring powder. And the way you find their cheekbones, if you can't see it or you can't feel it, you're always going to know where it's at by this little tab on their ear right here. Right where the hole of their ear is, that's always where their cheekbone runs. So you're going to follow that. It's going to come right down here like this. You never want to contour any of this area right in here. Only right to here, right to the end of their cheekbone. So that's the ball of their cheek right there. And that's where your contouring is going to stop. We're going to start darker back in here and work lighter right out on the end. Just a nice fine tapered line right there. Now you can go darker back in here because we want that to recede and have a lot of depth back in there. So we're going to make sure that's really soft underneath the jawline again. Now turn that way, Tracy, and let's do this side. Same thing. Darker back here, a little lighter, finer. Roll your brush around, fine tapered off line right in here. Never again, never a big dark black line right down here. That will never work. A little darker back in here. Round underneath their jawline. This creates a real nice defined jawline. Little shadowing. Now turn back around. Now look around from the front and make sure that they both look even. You usually need to add a little more in. Little turn this way, little turn this way. That looks pretty good. Now also, if they're really wide right in through here, you can taper just a little bit off right in here and a little right on the side. If they're really wide, a really big round face, you can go with a darker powder all the way down here like this. And this, when they're looking forward, takes off quite a bit of weight in their face. And you can only do that with black and white. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, she looks pretty good. What I'm going to do next is take some lighter pink color and just touch right underneath there where I did the contouring and just feather right up to their cheeks so that this color is the very darkest and working into darkness and then up into the lightness so that's very white here, a real nice graduation of color. This gives a nice roundness to the cheeks. Also, we use the pink color. It makes our clients feel just a little bit better when they're looking in the mirror to have a little bit of color on them because this is quite drastic makeup. Now the other side. I could use just all browns, but it doesn't make your client feel real pretty. And a little bit more right in the back here. Now take a look again from the front. Now her cheeks are really starting to shape up. Again, you never want to put any color right in this area right here, this triangle area. You want to keep this really nice and white. All right, let's go and put another layer of mascara on. Tracy, look down just a little bit. You chin up just a little bit. There, right there. We're going to cover the top again like we did before. Then we're going to, now look up just a little. There, and we're going to come right underneath her lashes. Now with the mascara, I change my mascara about every other day. There, right through there, just getting the layers. I change the mascara so that it doesn't have time to build up any germs in there. There, there, there. That looks better right through there. Getting them nice and thick. There you go. Okay. Now, relax your eyes, and let's move back down on the lips a little bit. We're going to use a darker pencil here. We're going to keep her lips just closed, just like they are. You never want to have them open their lips up because they have a chance of moving their lip quite a bit, and you're going to make a mistake that way. So keep their lips just closed and real relaxed. You're going to start with the real fine little lines, just like you do with the lip liner pencil for the eyes. And you're going to start with little fine lines. And you follow their natural lip line to begin with. And follow it around the top, up around the other side. Now then you look at her lips and you make sure they look even. Not everyone's lips are even, so you want to use this time to even out their lips a little higher on one side maybe. Depends on what they need. Some lips are quite a bit fatter on one side than they are on the other. Also, there's quite a few ladies that have really thin lips, real fine lips. So what I do, I follow their natural lip line around, and then I just start building on a little bit, building on along the bottom of their lip and coming right across their top like this, and building up a little bit. Now Tracy has really nice lips, but we are going to accentuate this right here, this little V, coming up a little higher with the lip line, and making sure you have a real nice defined line coming down each side. Now that looks good. Now also you can go just a little bit more right underneath their lips, give them that nice pouty look. Just a little bit more right in the center right here. That helps to build up a nice full round lips. Now going back over it again, bringing it up just slightly. Nice full even lips. That's the beauty of makeup. Now that looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get our lip brush. It's a little fine tapered brush, and we're going to use a darker color lipstick. Nice rich brown or wine color or anything dark. You're going to start little pats of lipstick going on one side, keeping inside the lip line, going around on the bottom now, following just like coloring. And that's the fun of putting the lip liner on. It's like when you were a little kid and you used to draw outline with your color crayon around the little flower, and then you just colored all inside. You knew where the lip line was. You never want to go out of the line. It makes it much easier. And the lip lining helps define the lips. Really nice. So we're just adding color inside the line. And a little more on this side. Take a close look. There, that looks good. Now, her lips are quite moist, so she's not going to need any lip gloss on them. You never want to get too much gloss on them because then their lips look too greasy. Also, the light will reflect off of it and it'll lighten up their lips too much. So the only time I put lip gloss on is when their lips are quite parched and dry there. I'll just put just a tab right here, and that's all. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go back and we're going to put mascara underneath her bottom lashes here. Now look up with your eyes. You're going to let your finger rest on her cheek so that you're not going to slip with this. This helps steady your hand. And the more you do this, the better you get. Just little fine strokes on her lashes, and a little bit more over here. Little fine strokes. Trying not to get any big globs. That happens quite frequently with mascara. If you get any big globs where the hairs are sticking together too much, it's going to go through and just pick it right off with your fingernail or your hand. The only time I ever use my eyelash brush, this can be used for your eyebrows or your eyelashes, is on their top lashes. I hardly ever come underneath this. This is just too sharp of an instrument to bring up to their eyes. So now look down just a tad, and just if you have any little globs or a little too much mascara here, you can just kind of brush it out a little bit. Because we are going to put one more layer. And the last layer I like to do is just have them look straight into the mirror. Just look straight forward. And just catch these little hairs right out on the side. And right here on the edges. There you go. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take an overall look back at the makeup and make sure that before we send her into the camera room that she looks good. Now I want to go just a tiny bit heavier on her cheeks. I can tell that right now by looking at her. We're just going to contour them in just a little bit more. Because she has nice full cheeks, and we can bring them in just a little bit more chiseling here. It's just a little bit more dramatic. She has nice full cheeks, and you can do that with nice full cheeks. With more of a thin-faced girl, you would never want to contour them this much. Just a little bit. On real fine, thin, delicate faces, you're just going to want to put just a little bit of contouring back in here. But Tracy has nice full cheekbones. She's got a nice definition here already. We can really bring out her cheekbones and accentuate that a lot. Now that looks really good. Now I can see one area that I want to go back on also, and that's right underneath her eyes. So I'm going to have her look up again and just get this looking real smooth right there. And a little bit more on the other side. That happens from just sitting there and blinking and moving about. Sometimes the makeup can kind of lose its color. Okay, now that was a little bit of fine tuning. Now we're going to take that powder and go back over it. Now, if she was starting to lose a little powder in here, or on those girls that have quite a bit bags underneath their eyes, you're going to want to go over them one more time to make sure that that's very white underneath their eyes, because some people it's very hard to cover up those big circles underneath their eyes. Also, for protruding eyes, they naturally have a little bit of line right underneath their eye that's very hard to get rid of. So the last thing you're going to want to do is go back over their eyes, underneath their eyes, with a little bit of white powder on a sponge. Now look up. Now she looks very nice, but this is what you would do. Put a little powder right there, just to make sure this stays real white. Now, we're going to work on her hair. We're going to back comb her hair a little bit with the comb, fluff it up. And all we basically do with their hair is just ratting in hairspray. And that works wonders. Now her hair is really soft and really fine, and what you really have to do is damage it just a little bit. Make it more like Barbie hair, and then you can do a lot more with it. So what we want to do right now is just put a little bit of spray on it. Let it dry just for a second. And what that's going to do, it's going to build up a little bit of stiffness in her hair, so that as I'm ratting it here, it's going to stay. It's not going to be so fine and silky. So it's a little more like doll hair, but then you can do a lot with it. Bringing it up a little bit on the sides here. If you wanted to put a little gel in your hands and smooth that up a little bit like that, you can. Her hair looks pretty good though, so all I'm going to do is just comb it up a little bit there. Now close your eyes. Always have them close their eyes when you're using hairspray. There. Now turn that way a little bit. There, that gives it a little bit of smoothness and height in there. Now to do hair, you don't have to be an expert licensed hairstylist. All it is ratting in hairspray, and that really comes with a lot of practice. So just be brave and grab a comb and start ratting their hair. Bring it out and take a look at it, and then you can always tuck it in places and bring it down. See, now that looks better already. Nice and smooth. Turn your head that way just a little bit. There, there, there. That looks good. Let's put a little spray on that. Now, turn the other way, toward me. There. Let's fill in the gaps, fill in the holes here. Let's bring this up because this goes right with her cheekbones here. A nice uplifting movement here. It looks really nice on her. Okay. There, that looks great. Little fine bangs here. There, that looks better. See how smooth that looks? Now, I didn't really change her a lot. All I did was just improve on it just a little bit. Now, what also we do is we'll just do a little bit of curling iron once in a while just to catch ends, or say if Tracy didn't have this little bit of curl here, it was just laying flat, we'd put a little curl through the top. But that's about the most we'd ever do with their hair. We have them come in with the way they usually wear their hair, clean and curled. And then we just elaborate on the hairstyle. Okay, I think Tracy's ready now. Let's join John in the camera room.
Before Tracy and Trish come in, let's talk a little bit about the lighting and the equipment we'll be using today. First of all, the look we want to achieve in the black and white is a sharp, clean, bold image. So the lighting and the diffusion we're using to achieve this will be more of a harder nature. The 52-inch starfish normally is a soft light source, but since it's 6 feet back from the subject, it will have a harder nature to them. Also with this, it's very important that you minimize the shadows. So we will also be using a mylar reflector coming up from underneath to fill in those shadows. As far as the equipment, we're using the Mamiya RZ with a 180 lens. The diffusion we're using is the Yeri diffusers, which go behind the lens. And this is a very minimum amount of diffusion, just barely softens the edge. Along with the camera, we're using a winder, which keeps the momentum moving so you can keep going with the flow with the subject. And what it does is it frees you to work with your client, with your subject. Trish and Tracy, you ready? Why don't you come on in now?
I want you to just sit down against the edge of the table and just kind of keep your feet there. Move over that way just a little bit. There you go, just like that. There. Now we're going to bring the reflector right over underneath her here. There, and this is very important. You keep it right up underneath their face. Now, Tracy, I want you to grab the jacket right about where that seam is. That looks good. Just put both your hands on there. Make them real even. Move this hand up right across from the other one. And bend your wrist back real soft, just kind of keeping your hands real loose so it doesn't look like you have a death grip on this coat. Yeah, there, like, chain the ring around. There. Earrings go inside. Lift that collar up. Now, just part your hands just a little bit. There, move your hands up just a little bit on the coat. There you go. Good, 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 just like that. I'll watch those earrings here. Now, it's very important that we keep the reflector right up underneath her to bounce back all that light, because we're only using one light, remember. So we need all the light we can get. There, 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 now. Always keep your chin stretched out there. Now, let's move right around behind the camera here. Okay, great, Tracy. Hold it right there. That looks good. Now, just loosen your hands up just a little bit. There you go. Don't want to look like you have a death grip on this coat. That's it. Just let them part just a little bit there. Good. Now, a little lean with your head this way. Great. Now, chin down. There, a little mystery to it. Take a deep breath. Great, right there. Love it. Great, great. That looks great. Now we're going to go into a new pose here and a new outfit. And this outfit's a little more of a fantasy feel to it. We have a feather boa and we have some gloves on it. And go ahead and look into the camera there, Tracy. Let's go ahead first and move in the reflector so you can see how that reflector really changes the look of this. Like, once again, you need all that light you can get because we are using one light again and the reflector, so it's maximum lighting on all that heavy makeup. Now, let's go ahead and put her into a pose. Tracy, go ahead and put your hands right up behind your head, just like that. There, there, there. And barely touching, fingertips just barely touching in the back. Go ahead and raise that arm up a little higher. And what you're going to be doing is just look out that way to the pillar up there and tilt your head over. This is kind of a nice, dreamy feel to it. Now, lift your head up. And tilt, 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 tilt. Now, chin up, chin up, chin up, chin up. There, and let your hands go up just a little, just right behind your head. There, 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 just like that. And let your eyes look right over there. There, there, there. It's kind of a thoughtful, dreamy feel to it. Let's check her hair. Now, just keep looking down like that. There, that's it, just like that. Oh, I love that. That's great. Now, take a deep breath and just kind of part your lips. Ah, there, great, great, just like that. Great. Okay, now relax your arms. Now, there's one more pose we could do while we're here. Is just go ahead and put your hands right up on your face, just like that. Just touching your hands. There, 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 just like that. A little curve to the bottom of your hands. Bringing your hands right out from your face. Now bring your chin right out into your hands. There, just like that. Good, and a little lean, chin down, and your fingertips out one more time so they're barely touching. Now bring your baby finger down. There, and that looks good. Looking right into the camera. This time, just a little hint of a smile. Just a little, yeah, there, just like that. Little mystery to it. Stretch your chin way out. Let your chin come down. Let your fingertips come away from your face one more time. All of your fingertips there. Now let your chin come down a little farther. Brings out a little more mystery there. Now baby fingers just touching right down to your face, real soft. Just a little curve to it. A little curve to this baby finger right here. There. Great, just like that. Now, I love that look. Great. Perfect, right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and change. Now, if you notice, we've changed the pose a little bit. I've got Tracy up on the table here. The table works really beautiful. We really use it quite a bit. We can do lots of different poses on it. Now, I have her in the feather boa now, and I have her in a real nice, relaxed pose. She's down on her side. And I'll show you a couple different poses while we're up here on feather boa. First, let's go ahead and put in a diffusion, and we'll see what a difference that makes. There, yeah, just like that. That looks great. Okay, Tracy, just a little soft smile, just kind of like a cat. Yeah, there you go. Great, right there. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to show you another pose, and I'm going to have Tracy just roll over real easy, like roll over out on your stomach, come down on your elbows, come up tall, real tall up on those two elbows, just like that. Bring this one up a little taller too, right up next to you. So you're going to really stretch tall on those shoulders. There you go. Turn your chin right over your, yes, just like that. Kind of bring the boa right around you here. Little shoulder, there you go. That's it. Little hair coming around here. There, just like that. There, now just turn your chin real slow and really stretch it out this way, just like that. Good. Maybe a little boa right up around the back here. Looks good. Great. Now looking right up into the camera. Very beautiful. Now stretch your chin out one more time. Just turn this way. Turn a little. It's really great. Little chin down. There, that looks great. Just like that. Now let's drop the diffusion in. Again, see how that looks. Beautiful. That really just cuts the edge a little bit. Makes it just a little softer. Okay, hold it right there, little eyes. Beautiful. Great. All right. Now let's look at some other poses that can be done in this area.
Now that we've seen how exciting, how fun it can be doing the black and white photography, and how dramatic the before and after, the change you get with it can be, let's talk about how we do this. The first thing, as we talked about earlier, was the makeup, how we created that contrast, how it all started right there. After that, it's a formula. The makeup, the lighting, the development, and the way you print on the paper all work together to give you your finished product. And for us, Our formula is dependent on how we do our makeup. The best way for you to do this is to take tests, lots of tests. Do your makeup like you always do under your own lights. Expose your film, bracket with your exposure developed on just a regular light meter test for what the film calls for. And when you do your development, that's where the tricky part comes in. Most of your manuals will tell you just to underexpose in your development 1 stop and push the film 1 or 2 stops. What I say to do is get 5 rolls of film, bracket. Underexpose 1 stop, underexpose a half stop, expose right on. Expose 1 stop over and 2 stops over. Develop these and make some test prints. What we like to do is print on about a number 3 graded paper. So pick out your negatives that have a medium density and just print with a filter to get on a number 3. Find the prints that give you good contrast and are close to resembling what you want to do for the look you want. Our final decision, though, is always based on printing on a number 3 fiber-based paper, because this is what our wall prints are on. It takes a little time, but you've got to develop your own formula. Most of our clients, you got to realize, are just real people. They're just the average working woman. And when using this technique, the high-key, high-contrast black and white, you can make them look fantastic, and they'll love you. You make them look like models, they're going to feel like models for the day. It's something that we enjoy, we love it, they tell all their friends about it, and it's exciting for us and for them. The latest thing Trish and I are really excited about is what we call our limited edition, because what we're doing there is taking the black and white 1 step further. We call the black and white fashion art because it is a fashion glamour photograph of our clients. But at the same time, with that high-key, high-contrast look, it has an art feel. So it works great for the wall prints, the gift prints. In the limited edition, what Trish is doing is going in and with dyes and pencils, coloring in specific areas of the photograph, the eyes, the lips, the cheekbones, and taking it 1 step further so it's more like a painting, like an art piece. The people really love this, and it does add a new dimension to the field. Trish and I love the black and white fashion art photographs. It's been very, very rewarding to us to offer this to our clients and make them feel great about themselves. We feel great, they feel great. It's fantastic. We hope you'll take some of these ideas we've shared with you and try them. And your clients will just love you for helping them to feel good about themselves and look so fantastic, because you don't have to be a model to look and feel like one. Thank you.